Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the protests, Take It Back protest movement that took place around Nigeria yesterday and the resultant police and how the police affected the protest. And we were talking about the template of what's happened in Lagos and how Lagos State Police Command managed protesters in a way that they cannot say that they've been harassed. They cannot say, even when whenever the protest ends, the police and the protesters will shake hands and say bye-bye. If he works in Lagos, it means he could have worked in Rivers State. So what are the lessons concerning how Lagos has handled protests? Well, could it be because Lagos suffered the huge suffering in 2020 that the trainings, yes, that there were a lot more trainings for how to handle protests? And I noticed that in the north, because of what happened last year, the last protest that took place, because they also really suffered, they did not even allow any protest at all this year. How do we find that balance that we...
Thank God that you mentioned the north. You know, right now, the north is boiling in Benue. The bandits killing people. One of the advocated item was, you know, ending banditry, improving security during this protest. And I was pained. That
they did not allow
that
the protest.
They didn't protest. Why wouldn't they allow a protest? Sometimes protest is not just talking. It's not until we're talking to government that we protest. You could be protesting against the bandits themselves. You could be protesting against the evil itself. You know, so why wouldn't they allow that protest? Why are they not protesting in Kano? Is it, you know, I don't understand. You know, that thing happened in the politicized protest too much. Protest necessarily doesn't have to be about the person in office. It doesn't have to be, we could be protesting an evil. So maybe something evil is happening in the country.
I don't think it was that they did not allow. The news does not carry that they didn't allow it. It's that the protest did just not take place there.
It didn't take place there. We don't see videos.
There wasn't protest. It wasn't based on that they were not allowed. They didn't show up.
So that's the point I'm making. The people, I'm talking about the people not considering this protest. Maybe they didn't get, maybe because it was a Twitter gathering anyway. They gathered from Twitter and went to street. That's why I saw it. Because, you know, Showore's platform. And so maybe they didn't hear it. But they have pressing issues up north. More pressing issues up north that, you know, they should have been on the streets. Edo, the people of Uromi had complained too much about kidnapping, raping of their people in the farms. Why were there no protests in Edo? Why do we choose certain places? Does Showore, who is behind this protest, not know the pressing peculiar issues per state? Why are there not people in those areas that are also following? Protest doesn't have to be about who is in office. That's the way I see it. If it is about only about who don't like,
angle, and I like
what I want is that we have our peculiar pressing issues. Edo has a peculiar one all the way to out in the farms. People no longer go to farms. It's not safe anymore. And so they should have protests in such places, gatherings where government, where they're telling government, this is priority, this is number one, you must face this one first.
YK, I love what Nyma was going to.
Yeah, but I wanted to say, Showore's funds are limited. Showore's reach is limited. If it was NLC now that organized that protest, you would have been in Edo. So you have to give, Showore his flowers for even trying.
To be able to convince people.
Yes.
To step out.
Because how many of us, you know, on this table safe? Or inside this studio, how many of us came out? None of us now. So it was
until yesterday. Online. I didn't even know.
I didn't even know there was protest. Shame me, I don't go to social media.
So, it's yesterday that I was following that.
It's as if you abuse me on social media, I will not even notice because I'm never there. So, what I'm trying to say is, so he but if it was, because I'm glad you brought up the Uromi.
The issues, each issue should be each issue raised should have people without being galvanized step out to protest the issue. But let me take David. David is back.
Okay.
Hello, David. You're live. Hello. Do we have David there? We're not understanding what is going on, but David will be waiting.
We will soon protest the network. This network will soon protest
because this week the network has been
misbehaving. All of them. And so, like what Nyma said is totally correct. Like you know, but coming back to what you asked earlier about opposition party, it should not be about any party or whoever. if something is happening in your state, in your local government, you should be able to come out and protest so that whoever is in charge can see, and then something can be done about that, right?
But there's need for galvanizers.
Yeah, there's also need for galvanizers, right? But if something is not, if you're not being directly affected by a particular thing,
you won't feel it.
You won't really feel.
Yes.
You won't really feel. What the protest about yesterday is the general thing that is affecting everybody. But like she said, in the north, they know what's going on there, and she made me laugh when she said, it's a Twitter campaign, so maybe the people in the north did not hear it. Let's not enter that. That one
on Twitter.
That one, what do they call that thing when someone says
she threw
akara, and he hits them, but no problem. So they don't do Twitter, no problem.
Then but
he might not know like what's happening in Uromi. Right? So someone from Uromi or people that have been affected will come up. No, they don't even need to. They cannot come up and volunteer and say, okay, we want to be part of this, but this is our own challenge. This is the problem we are facing. Maybe we are farmers and we don't have food insecurity, or maybe we're not lacking food in Uromi.
But we have bandits.
But this is what we have. This is on this agenda. This is what we are protesting. In Osun, different people.
They have their issues and they would bring up their issues.
They were interviewing one of the protesters in Lagos. And he was talking about the Oworoshoki demolition.
Exactly.
The Oworoshoki demolition concerned them in Abuja. Did it concern them? It didn't concern them.
The challenges are local.
The challenges are local. And so when he was talking, he talked about the general one and then said, even the demolition. And when I was like, I quickly checked. Oh, yes, along the waterways, along the water channels, Lagos is
Let me take this call. Sorry.
So talk the one that concerns you.
Welcome to the show.
Join protest just to hate somebody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure being with you this morning.
Thank you.
And, on the issue of protest, I think it's been quite unfortunate that in Nigeria, or not just in Nigeria, because so many people use US as a yardstick. There has been quite a lot of protests in the US that were suppressed, even while their students were, campaigning against the Gaza side or what have you. But in Nigeria, the current situation is that so many people take advantage of little opportunity, and when people protest, you have a large chunk of people who are ready to, hijack that protest. And I think that's one of the things that makes the police also misbehave. Because I've been part of many protests. I see people, trying to even face the police that are just meant to protect both protesters and the general public. And also, I think it is wrong for us to protest and block roads while we deprive other road users their rights, their freedom. And these are things that causes most of these issues. Unfortunately, too, the government almost gets unpopular all the time because of their fear of escalation. And so I think what we need to do, like what Lagos has done, trying to make sure that all security outfits join the protest, protect the people.
Keep it peaceful.
But I can tell you, if we get a larger crowd, that may not also work in Lagos. So we will be appealing to the government itself to listen to very little details of the people when they demand and try to fix all these things. It is not rocket science.
Thank you so much.
To have a nation where people can get the dividends of
democracy. Thank you, and fruits of the government. Thank you so much, David, for bringing the validity of the police. Because for those whose things got looted, for those whose shops get looted, for those that they just drove their trailer mistakenly past when
and they burnt their cows.
Yes, when a protest is going on and their rice bags of rice were looted, those people would be happy to have the police quell and stop protests from taking place because they would feel like it might get hijacked, which is why I said let's study the Lagos template. But YK, we're rounding off.
I was going to watch.
I cannot remember what you want to say because I'm not inside your mind.
To say something.
But in conclusion,
I
remember.
She don't drink her 50 plus of 60.
Abi?
What did you do?
You just cut me.
Please go on, John.
I was going to, yes, I was talking about the Uromi.
Yes.
They have been protesting for months about the insecurity in their
locally.
In their place, where people are being killed. They now where I don't agree that it was right, they took the law into their own hands. What are they doing? They're now arresting all and sundry. But yes, you are involved in the killing of those
police are now grading them, defrauding them now, forcing them to.
No, but they've already changed some things after that news broke. We must acknowledge the police when they do what is right, just as we call them out when they do what is wrong. So we are calling out the police in Rivers State, the administrator in charge of Rivers State for how they've handled the protest. It could have been managed better. In a peaceful protest where they did not carry arms, no tear gas should have been fired. They should have been kept in line, protected and watched, and they work with them all through that protest, because the truth is every police officer is also facing the challenge that we're talking about.
Exactly.
Banditry is affecting them. The hardship within the country, cost of living going high has affected them as well. We know what we want is peaceful protest. We don't want it to be hijacked. We don't want looting, but we need to find the healthy balance to these things.
Talk about in Rivers State, part of the protest was the administrator should go. And they should bring their governor back. So maybe that is why they just dabaroo them. But they should be allowed to talk. Because whether you like it or not, Fubara was democratically elected.
Exactly.
So even if you don't agree, let them protest. When they finish and they go, you cannot explain.
They should come and copy Lagos templates.
Yes, copy Lagos templates. That's the end. But we need to canvass. We need leaders. We need canvassers. I remember my estate's elections took place because the leader within my community galvanized all of us to say, you need to show up and vote for who is our next chairman. And so a lot of us walked down to the election place because we had a leader that galvanized. We need community leaders. We need people should take responsibility. Little by little, we can bring about major change when they realize that whatever is happening, nobody's keeping quiet about it. We shouldn't have to be scared in our country. We shouldn't have to be unable to eat, 3 square meal in our country. But that's what we can take on this segment. We have a packed Healthy Tuesday show for you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.